And now, BX Forever presents another RPG deep dive.
All right, let's dive in. This time, we're headed to the Lost City of Cynidicea.
Lost City, you say?
Lost City, swallowed by the desert sands, shrouded in mystery. We've got crumbling ruins, a massive pyramid right at its heart, and whispers of, well, ancient cults.
Cults. Always with the cults.
And a monstrous god. But here's the thing. You're not just listening in. You're right there. You're the adventurer.
Oh, I like where this is going.
Separated from your caravan by a brutal sandstorm, you're low on supplies, desperately low, stumbling upon this lost city with, well, a very faint hope of survival.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So where are we getting all this juicy information from?
This is B4 The Lost City, a Dungeons & Dragons adventure module from 1982.
Ah, classic D&D. Those early modules, they were packed with detail, weren't they?
It's amazing how much world building they crammed in, and this you're the adventurer angle, it really puts you right in the thick of it.
Absolutely. Every decision, every step, it could mean life or death.
Oh, for sure. The module makes it crystal clear that survival, that's your main goal.
From the get-go, your situation is dire. You need food, water, shelter.
And looming over everything is this massive 5-tiered pyramid. It's practically begging to be explored.
Oh yeah, especially with those colossal statues on the top tier, each one 30 feet high,
Wow.
representing different deities, Gorm, Usamigaras, and Madarua.
Talk about a sense of foreboding. All right, let's say we manage to find the secret entrance to this pyramid.
Secret entrance, you say? There's always a secret entrance.
Always. We dodge a nasty encounter with a hobgoblin skeleton and a loaded crossbow trap. We're in Tier 1. Dusty, dark, and I am parched.
Okay, so first things first. The module stresses finding food and water. Essential for survival, your supplies are dwindling. Every move you make, it drains your energy.
Makes sense. So we need to conserve energy and find supplies ASAP.
But it's not just about the basics. It's also understanding the risks and rewards of this environment.
So being smart about our choices, basically.
You got it. You might be carefully disarming a spear trap and boom, behind a false wall, a hidden stash of food.
Dates and dried meat, according to the module.
Every corridor you explore, every decision, it could lead you to those resources you desperately need.
But it's not just traps, right? There are some creepy creatures mentioned.
Oh, you're talking about the sturges. Nasty bird-like things. They latch onto you with their, well, their beak-like tubes.
And drain your blood. Delightful.
Not the strongest individually, but unsettling to say the least. A whole swarm, though, that could be deadly.
All right. Officially on my nightmare list. What else is lurking around in Tier 1?
You might run into fire beetles. Large beetles, bioluminescent glands. They light up the rooms.
So, creepy but potentially helpful for navigation.
Exactly. It's both beautiful and eerie seeing a chamber lit up by these glowing insects. But they're not aggressive. Unless, of course, you provoke them.
So far, sounds like Tier 1 is a careful balance of scavenging for supplies and dodging creepy crawlies. But something tells me things are about to get a lot more complicated.
Ah, yes. Enter the factions. Remember those statues on top of the pyramid?
Gorm, Usamigaras, and Madara, right?
They represent the primary deities worshipped in Cynidicea. Each deity has a faction battling for power within the Lost City.
Okay, now we're talking. So break it down for me. Who are these factions? What do they believe in? What are they fighting for?
We've got the Brotherhood of Gorm, devoted to, well, Gorm, the god of war, storms, and justice.
Strength and order, sounds like.
Exactly. They think the only way to restore Cynidicea is through military might and strict discipline. They wear these golden masks, depicting Gorm's very stern visage.
Okay, intimidating. Who else is vying for power?
The Magi of Usamigaras, followers of the god of healing, messengers, and, interestingly, thieves.
Interesting combination. What's their take on restoring Cynidicea?
Knowledge and magic. They believe the key lies in unlocking the city's ancient secrets. Oh, and they wear silver masks of Usamigaras as a smiling child.
Quite the contrast to the Brotherhood. Okay, that's 2 factions. Who's the third?
The warrior maidens of Madarua, followers of the goddess of birth, death, and the changing seasons.
A goddess of everything, basically.
Pretty much. They're all about balance, believing that Cynidicea can only be restored by harmonizing its opposing forces.
Yeah.
And they wear, wait for it, bronze masks of Madarua's beautiful face.
3 factions, each with their own vision. Sounds like conflict is inevitable.
Oh, it is. And that's where your choices as the adventurer come in. Do you join a faction, pit them against each other, or go it alone.
Tough choices. Let's say we entertain the idea of joining a faction. What are we getting into here? Are they just going to welcome us with open arms?
Not quite. Each faction has specific requirements, tests for potential members.
Trials and tribulations.
Exactly. The Brotherhood of Gorm, they only accept lawful characters.
Lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil.
And they put you through these rigorous trials. Strength, discipline, that sort of thing.
And the Magi, a little more lenient.
They're open to various classes, but they value intellect, magical aptitude. Makes sense, right?
Makes perfect sense. What about the Warrior Maidens? What are their criteria?
They mostly accept, well, female fighters. They have their own initiation rituals, focusing on balance and dedication to Matarua.
So, gaining their trust and hopefully access to their supplies, it's going to take some effort.
Absolutely. But let's say you prove yourself worthy. You get access to the inner circle. You're not just dealing with the rank and file anymore.
You're interacting with the leaders. Okay, I'm ready for the rundown. Who are these leaders and what makes them tick?
Cynidicea. He's the Grand Master of the Brotherhood of Gorm. Stern, but fair. Focused on strategy, discipline, not someone you want to cross.
Noted. Who else?
Auriga Cirkinos, the Chief Mage of Usamagers. He's jovial, charismatic.
But there's always a but.
Don't let that charm fool you. He's just as ruthless in his pursuit of power as Cynidicea.
Okay, the stern disciplinarian and the cunning mage. What about the leader of the Warrior Maidens? Give us the scoop.
Pandora, Matarua's champion. A skilled warrior, strong believer in balance, leads with wisdom and strength, always searching for harmony, even amidst all the conflict.
3 very different leaders, each with their own goals. I imagine rubbing any of them the wrong way could have, well, serious consequences.
The module emphasizes that your actions have consequences. How you interact with the factions, especially the leaders, shapes your adventure drastically.
This is getting intense. We've navigated Tier 1, faced down some creepy critters, maybe even considered aligning ourselves with the faction. But the pyramid, it's calling us deeper. What awaits in Tier 2?
Tier 2, my friend, plunges you further into the heart of the Lost City. A maze of chambers, corridors, each one holding, well, the potential for both discovery and danger.
Give me an example. What kind of danger?
You might stumble into a room covered in this strange yellow mold.
Mold, as in, like, on the walls.
Everywhere. It's highly poisonous, dissolves metal and wood on contact.
That's not good.
And here's the kicker. It can turn victims into slime. Definitely not something you want to track back to your temporary shelter.
Absolutely not. Making note of that one. Anything else we should brace ourselves for in Tier 2?
You might find yourself face to face with the Magi of Usamagaras in their chamber, each one wielding a different spell, fiercely protective of their space.
Sounds like a magical battle royale waiting to happen.
If you're not careful, it could be.
Any other factions staking their claim in this tier?
Oh, yeah. The Brotherhood of Gorm, they've got a strong presence. They've got these killer bees guarding their treasure, their sting. Deadly. But there's a catch. They're trained not to attack anyone wearing a mask of Gorm.
Ah, so it's all about who you align yourself with.
You got it. Every decision, it has a ripple effect throughout this adventure.
Ready to delve deeper into this massive pyramid? Tier 2, this is where the past really comes alive. The module describes the air. It's heavy with the scent of decay. The silence amplifies the weight of, well, history, death.
So less about scavenging for supplies and more about, navigating the legacies of those who came before.
Exactly. Imagine stepping into a room, the walls adorned with these scenes of ancient battles, remnants of a conflict long forgotten, and flanking this massive sarcophagus guarding this room, 2 white-furred apes, protectors of, well, this forgotten history.
Okay, I'm picturing these white apes, some mythical creature, ghostly remnants of Cynidicea's past, maybe?
See, that's what's so cool. The module, it just calls them white apes, leaves it at that.
So it's up to us, the players, to fill in the blanks.
Exactly. Are they natural creatures, magically altered, something else entirely? I love that. It lets us weave our own stories into the adventure. Okay, let's say we manage to get past these enigmatic apes. What's next? What does Tier 2 throw at us?
Oh, this is where the module gets a little, well, psychologically horrific. Picture this. A narrow, twisting corridor. Barely wide enough for a single person.
Oh, I'm not a fan of tight spaces.
It's claustrophobic. A nightmare that forces the party to separate.
No, thank you. Why would anyone design a corridor like that?
Almost as if it was, intended to break down the party, make them vulnerable. Physically, psychologically.
And to think, we've only just begun to explore this place. All right, let's say we conquer our fears and make it through that corridor. What's waiting on the other side?
Another burial chamber. But this one, it's been disturbed. The door's been gnawed through. The wooden coffin inside, raided.
Grave robbers. Do we have any clues as to who these, well, thieves might be?
The module describes the culprits as, get this, giant shrews and their treasure. It's a bit more unconventional.
Giant shrews raiding tombs. Never thought I'd hear that. What
Yeah.
kind of treasure would giant shrews be after? I doubt they're into gold or jewels.
You're right about that. Their treasure, it's silence.
Silence.
The module explains they use sound, these echoes, to see. They're vulnerable to silence spells.
Ah, so a clever spellcaster could use that to their advantage. But for those of us who rely on more, well, conventional methods, sounds like these shrews could be a problem.
Oh yeah, big time. The module even mentions that anyone facing them must save versus a death ray or flee in terror. Even the smallest creatures in this world, they can be deadly. Can't underestimate anything.
Good advice. Okay, we've faced white ips, navigated a creepy corridor, outsmarted echolocating shrews. What other challenges await in this realm of the dead?
This is where we meet, well, one of the module's most iconic figures,
Yeah.
Queen Zenobia.
Queen Zenobia, the one with the fake treasure room.
The one and only. And she's not exactly resting peacefully.
So the queen who tried to fool grave robbers in life, now she's a restless spirit in death. What form does this unrest take?
She's a wight, a powerful undead creature, fueled by negative energy. Her tomb, stark contrast to her husband's. Bare walls, atmosphere heavy with dread.
Whites are notorious for their level draining touch, aren't they? Stealing your life force, literally.
That's right. And her tomb, it's covered in this inscription. May the curse of darkness destroy all who dare desecrate my resting place.
A clear warning, don't mess with the queen, even in death. Sounds like if we want to proceed, we better be prepared for a fight. What makes Queen Zenobia so dangerous? Aside from the whole, level draining thing.
The module describes her as this, well, horrifying figure. But she's not just a monster, she's a cautionary tale. In life, she clung to power. Now in death, she clings to existence.
A terrifying echo of her ambition. A chilling reminder that the choices we make, they have consequences, even beyond the grave. But every powerful enemy has a weakness, right? How do we take down this white queen?
Whites, they're vulnerable to silvered or magical weapons. So if you're rocking a rusty old sword, you're in trouble.
Good thing we packed our silver-plated daggers. Let's say we managed to defeat Queen Zenobia. Lift the curse on her tomb. Are we done with Tier 4?
Not quite. There are other burial chambers to explore. Glimpses into the lives, the deaths of Cynidicea's rulers. You might find a chamber, scorched, a ghostly outline etched into the wall, or a room filled with this pungent aroma of incense, a mummified high priest, resting eternally.
This whole tier is giving me the chills. The way the module creates this atmosphere with just a few details, it's amazing.
It really is. It reminds us that the best adventures, they're the ones that let players fill in the gaps, create their own stories, their own interpretations.
We've survived white apes, giant shrews, even Queen Zenobia herself. We're practically experts in navigating this realm of the dead. But something tells me Tier 5, the final level of this pyramid, has even more surprises up its sleeve.
Oh, you have no idea. Tier 5, this is where things get really interesting. More perilous. The creatures, they're more, well, bizarre, powerful, and much more cunning.
Lay it on me. What kind of creatures are we talking about here?
Imagine a giant beetle. Glowing eyes, insatiable hunger for metal. Or a rust monster. Dissolves your armor with a single touch.
Okay, that's a hard pass for me. Anything a little less, well, corrosive.
How about a Thal? Horrifying hybrid, part ghoul, part hobgoblin, part troll.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster. What do?
They regenerate quickly, and they paralyze victims with a touch. Oh, and they serve the priests of Zargon.
The priests of Zargon. We're getting close to the big bad, aren't we? But if we're not battling rust monsters and regenerating trolls, what else might Tier 5 have in store?
Remember that hidden underground city? Tier 5 has a secret passage leading down to it.
Okay, now that's intriguing. I bet it's well guarded, though. What stands between us and this passage? More killer bees.
Not this time. This chamber is guarded by, well, 2 living iron statues.
Living iron statues.
Imagine armored warriors forged from metal, animated with a sinister purpose.
Okay, that's a visual. How do you even fight something made of iron?
That's the challenge. Incredibly tough. And if you're using ordinary weapons, you might find yourself stuck, unable to break free.
So, a battle of strength, strategy, and a good dose of luck. What happens if we overcome these Iron Guardians? What's next?
You discover the passage leading down to the underground city. A narrow, winding staircase descends into darkness. a gateway to a whole new chapter.
I'm hooked. But before we plunge into those depths, there's more to Tier 5, right? The module mentions some pretty unique encounters.
You're right. You might stumble into a room filled with this sweet aroma of wine. Find a drunken owlbear.
Wait, a drunken owlbear, now that's something you don't see every day.
Definitely a memorable encounter. Adds a bit of humor to this, well, perilous environment. But don't be fooled. Even a drunken owlbear is incredibly strong.
Good point. So we've got iron statues guarding a secret passage, a drunken owlbear causing mischief, and a whole underground city waiting to be explored. What else is lurking in this final tier?
This is where you encounter the werefoxes, shapeshifters, disguised as Cynidicians, searching for treasure and supplies.
Werefoxes, are they friend, foe, or something in between?
Depends on your approach. They're clever, cautious, prefer to use their wits. They might try to bargain, trick you, even charm you with their supernatural allure.
The con artists of the monster world, what happens if we see through their disguises?
They'll probably turn into foxes and flee, rely on their speed. But if they're cornered, well, they might fight back. Sharp claws, teeth, the whole deal.
It's a game of cat and mouse, or adventurer and werefox. What kind of treasure are they after?
The module mentions valuable jewelry, a magical sword, even a potion, a mysterious one.
Ooh, a potion. What kind of potion?
That's the mystery. The module, it doesn't say. Could be a healing potion, invisibility, or something even more powerful.
The possibilities are endless. Tier 5, it's a real test, isn't it? Outsmart werefoxes, navigate around a drunken owlbear, maybe even bargain with living iron statues. But there's one more encounter on this tier that really stands out. The spirit of Demetrius, a lawful cleric trapped in a white robe.
Yes. This is where things get, well, morally complicated. Do you risk possession to gain Demetrius's power, or do you help him find peace?
That's a tough call. On the one hand, a powerful cleric could be a huge help. But possession sounds a lot like losing yourself.
It depends on your character, their goals. Are you willing to sacrifice for the greater good, even if it means losing control?
A decision with serious consequences. And it's amazing how this module, it weaves these complex themes into, well, a dungeon crawl.
Exactly. Role-playing games, they're more than just rolling dice. They're about exploring perspectives, making choices, and telling stories.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this deep dive so engaging. We're not just listening, we're imagining ourselves in this world, making choices that could change the course of, well, everything.
And speaking of changing the course, we've reached a turning point. We've explored all 5 tiers of this pyramid, faced countless dangers, uncovered some amazing secrets, but this adventure, it doesn't end here.
There's still the matter of the underground city, and of course, Zargon.
Precisely.
Before we head down to that whole other level of, well, craziness, let's just take a moment to appreciate what we've already discovered. The history of a lost civilization, a labyrinth of traps and puzzles, and some truly terrifying creatures.
It's been quite a journey, and it just goes to show you these classic modules, they've still got it, capturing imaginations for decades.
And that's what makes this deep dive so rewarding. We're not just revisiting the past, we're experiencing it anew, through our own imaginations. But the adventure isn't over. We've still got an underground city to explore, the priests of Zargon to confront. And maybe, just maybe, that monstrous god itself.
Be prepared. We're going to the heart of Cynidicia's mysteries, where the fate of an entire city hangs in the balance.
We're here, at the entrance to the underground city. This secret passage leading down from the pyramid's top tier. It's a little ominous, isn't it? What are we walking into? A sanctuary or a den of nightmares?
It's a bit of both, actually. As you descend, you enter this, subterranean world, strikingly different from the pyramid above. Imagine this. A vast cavern, illuminated by bioluminescent mushrooms and fungi, and an underground lake teeming with fish right at its center.
It sounds beautiful in a strange alien kind of way, but Cynidicea, it's a place of conflict, right? This tranquility, it can't last.
You're right, there's an undercurrent of danger. In the middle of that lake, there's an island, shrouded in mist. They call it, the Island of Death.
Okay, yeah, that name alone tells me we should probably steer clear. What's the story there? What happened on the Island of Death?
The module, it's a bit vague on the details, hints at ancient rituals, maybe sacrifices, a powerful energy, potentially dangerous. Even the Cynidicians themselves, they avoid it.
So, a no-go zone, even for those who live down here. But there's more to this city, right? What about those factions? Do they have a presence in this underground world?
They do. Each faction has its own stronghold down here. adapted to this subterranean environment, but still reflecting their beliefs. The Brotherhood of Gorm, they've fortified their area, walls, guard towers, emphasizing order, defense.
Sounds about right for them. What about the Magi?
The Magi of Usamigoris, they've created a, well, more of a scholarly enclave. Libraries, laboratories, their pursuit of knowledge never ends, even down here.
And the warrior maidens, what have they created in this hidden city?
The warrior maidens of Matarua, they've established a, well, a secluded training ground. They hone their combat skills, their focus, always striving for balance.
So even in this hidden city, that struggle for power, it continues. But what about the everyday Cynidicians? How are they doing down here?
The module describes them as, well, trapped in a perpetual dreamlike state, minds clouded by this strange affliction. They go about their routines, they tend their mushroom farms, herd their subterranean livestock, they even hold these masked balls. But there's this sense of detachment, a lack of awareness of the bigger picture.
So they're, what, sleepwalking through life, unaware of the dangers around them? Is there any hope for them? A cure, maybe?
There are hints of a possible cure. A rare white flower, it's said to bloom only in the deepest, most dangerous caverns. Reaching it, well, that would be one perilous quest.
A glimmer of hope in all this darkness, but we're going to need to be prepared. If we're going to venture deeper, what kind of creatures might we encounter on this quest for the cure?
The module, it teases us with some clues. Giant ants, they devour everything in their path. Massive lizards, heat-sensing membranes covering their eyes. And get this, a devil swine.
A devil's swine? What in the world is that?
It's a lycanthrope, and it can charm its victims with this, well, powerful spell.
Okay, we're adding that to the list of things to avoid. This underground city might be even more dangerous than the pyramid above. But we can't forget about the biggest threat of all, Zargon. What's its role in this underground world?
Zargon? It's the puppet master, the unseen force behind everything. The priests of Zargon, they control the lower tiers of the pyramid, where Zargon is said to dwell. In this, well, slime-covered lair, they demand sacrifices to appease their god, ruling through fear and fanaticism.
The classic corrupt religious order. But to truly help this city to free the Cynidicians, we have to confront Zargon.
That's the ultimate challenge, the climax of this adventure. But defeating Zargon, it's not going to be easy. It can regenerate, making it nearly impossible to kill. The only way to destroy it permanently is to find its horn, this black, curved spike. It protrudes from its lizard head, and you had to cast it into the, well, they call it the Eye of Zargon, a volcanic pit.
So we have to defeat this regenerating monster, find this specific artifact, and take it to a dangerous location. A quest within a quest.
Exactly. This adventure, it's not just about fighting, it's about strategy, resourcefulness, understanding the lore of this world. Every bit of information, every encounter could be the key.
A lot rests on our shoulders. We have to find the cure, navigate the political landscape, confront those priests, and then finally destroy Zargon. It's daunting, to say the least. But isn't that what makes a good adventure?
It is. It's about pushing your limits, making those tough choices, and deciding the fate of this world. Will you be their champion? Or will Cynidicea and its people fade back into obscurity?
What a deep dive this has been. We started in the desert, stumbled upon a mysterious pyramid, and now we're in this hidden city facing challenges that could change, well, everything. It just shows you the power of imagination. And these classic modules, they still hold up. Who knew a D&D module from 1982 could spark such a captivating journey?
It's a good reminder that even in our digital age, there's still magic in those old-school pen and paper adventures. They bring us together, let us create and explore worlds, limited only by, well, our imagination. And who knows, maybe this deep dive has inspired you to start your own adventure, create your own stories, discover those hidden wonders waiting to be found.